We're out and about in the Barossa today looking for some family-owned wineries, and we're lucky enough to be here at Rusden with Christian.
G'day, Sid.
How you doing,
There you
Christian?
go. Welcome along.
Thank you. So, Rusden, tell us a little bit more about it, please.
I don't know. It's a long story. So where should I start? At the beginning. Well, we're sitting here on the front lawn, out the front of cellar door, and I grew up in the house behind us and played cricket on the lawn here when I was a kid. Mum and Dad bought this 40-acre property in 1979, and originally their plan was to buy a little property on the outskirts of Tanunda, maybe 1 to 5 acres, where they could raise their kids. And they found that this 40-acre property for cheaper than you could buy a house in the town. That was back in the late 70s, early 80s, when the vine pool was in full swing and vineyard was worth nothing. So they started out with that, and it became a much larger hobby farm than what they thought, and they grew grapes originally for Kaiserstuhl and then for Yalumba. They've been grape growers at Yalumba for over 30 years. And my dad started making a barrel of wine as a hobby in 1992, early 90s, with his mate Russell. My dad's name's Dennis, so they called it Rusden, and they got the little art class down at Faith High School to make the labels for them. And they really just drank it amongst themselves and their friends. It was a bit of a hobby. When I left school, I really wanted to work on the property, but the farm really wasn't even paying them a salary. So I pretty much got told to piss off and go and cut my teeth somewhere else. So I did. So I went and worked in the vineyards up at Yalumba for a few years. Then I went and studied marketing, or pretended to study marketing, in Adelaide for a year or two. While I was in Adelaide, I got a job at Melbourne Street Wine Cellars and kind of discovered and walked into the world of wine and fell in love with Rockford Basket Press. And I ended up getting a job at Rockford in the cellar in '97. And I was working with guys like Chris Ringland, Dave Powell, Rob O'Callaghan, Michael Waugh at Granite Creek, and Peter Schultz down at Turkey Flat. So in terms of an apprenticeship, I was serving under some pretty amazing dudes in the Barossa back then. So I basically just followed them around with a pen and a piece of paper. Dad already had a little winemaking set up in the shed, and we started to focus on Rusden a little bit more seriously. We were lucky to get a leg into the US market in the late 90s with our first vintages. Robert Parker gave us some big scores early on, and that kind of opened the doors into restaurants in Sydney and Melbourne. And all of a sudden, our little family, operation here in Vine Vale Vineyard was sitting in some of the best restaurants in Australia. And so everything's grown on site here, and everything's made in the little winery right there. We didn't know it at the time, but we were really building quite a European model, where you grow your own grapes, make your own wine, estate grown, family owned, family operated. There's no other investment involved. We love what we're doing. We're really lucky to be able to do sort of, you take a hobby or which it was for me, a passion, making wine, growing grapes, being on the land. If you can make a living out of that, I think you're a pretty lucky bloke.
At 1918, we have the family-owned premium red wine board. On that board is Black Guts. Could you tell us a little bit about that particular wine, please? The
Black Guts, hey? Black Guts was a nickname for a wine Dad made back in I think it was about '94. Because him and Russell were both school teachers, they'd always make their wine in the Easter holidays. So they make Cabernet one year and Shiraz the next. Can be some years a little late, particularly in the warmer years, like '94. A little bit. I think that year they made alcoholic Ribena. I think how old was I? I was around 17 or 18. I was working at Rockford when Dad and Russell bottled that, and none of Dad's friends really liked the style. But my younger mates, we pretty much drink anything.
Because it was sweet. Fantastic.
So it was rocket fuel. It was pretty easy to drink 3 bottles of it. It had the strength of a port. So,
Yeah.
so everyone would wake up the next day, and it kind of got coined Dennis's Black Guts. The short answer is drink 3 bottles and you'll find out.
Yes.
So a lot of people obviously see the name and think it's going to be this big black-eyed bruiser of a wine, and it's actually quite the opposite. It's almost an anti-Barossa Shiraz. It's a bit more Eden Valley in style, I think.
It is. It's delicious. So at meal food pairings, perhaps. Do you have any advice on?
I think it's great with with your duck that you do at the restaurant. That's what I really enjoy it with. I think those bigger Barossa Shirazes are probably your steak ones, and I think this is a little bit more something down the French line of cookery.
Okay. Well, thanks, Christian. Cheers.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having us around. It's been a great time.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and come back again soon.
Will do. Will do. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.